Pisces, welcome to your January 2017 love reading. It's Rena here. Okay, so I'm going to do these. It's a star card. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to let you know what's going on. Okay. All right. So, January. What are the energies in January for you? The overall energy is one of some sort of anxiety that has cropped up. It could be related to either you're choosing between two people, and the swords could be Aquarius or Libra or Gemini. And in the past position, you may have had a relationship. Well, let me just keep going here. I'll show the card. This is the past position. This could be an earth sign individual, a Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn individual. Now, this card also can relate to a new job, and sometimes it can be that a loan comes through, some kind of money. I think inheritance even can be included in this. But this is a love reading, so we would tend to look at people. It could be someone that you met at work, I suppose, especially if it was a new job. But there's a sense of oppression right now. I shouldn't say oppression, maybe anxiety. There can be, a person who is an air sign who is causing you grief. Maybe you've met somebody in the recent past who is promising, but you currently, you're still embroiled with somebody who is an air sign or who has that very prominent in their personality of being kind of detached, intellectual, if not an official air sign. And I would say that person, the other person, is more of a sure thing because the ace is the beginning of something and it's a firm financial foundation. So taken into the love arena, it could be something that is more tangible and solid. The Nine of Swords is about something giving you anxiety. So if this is a person, they're not a good influence on you. But for some reason, you feel like you are bound to this person. Sometimes the binding is a bit on the psychological level. And I would say that especially for you Pisces, where you might feel like you're almost, I don't want to say addicted to the situation, but it hooked you maybe on an energetic level that this person is doing something. Sometimes people get involved in negative attractions where they are attracted to the negativity for whatever reason. Sometimes it's familiarity. If you've had a string of relationships that are very dysfunctional, it can feel more normal to be in one of those types of relationships than in a relationship where the person is really functioning at a mature level. And in the case of Pisces, this happens also because you are naturally drawn to people who are suffering. So sometimes you find yourself in this role as a healer, but in order to heal someone, they have to be sick, right? So the problem with that is that you end up with a person who is really quite messed up. And so I'm sure a few of you have experienced this, and that, Pisces isn't the only sign that ever, deals with people who have addictions or people who seem to have a lot of problems just functioning. You know, every sign can have that happen to them, but I'm trying to explain it in a positive way, why you may be attracted to that on an unconscious level. Now, the higher message is the Seven of Swords. The anxiety, it's right under that Nine of Swords. The anxiety you may be feeling is because that person is being deceptive. And maybe you know, it could be one of those situations where the person is lying, telling you what you want to hear, and your intuition, which is very much on point, Pisces, you know, probably the most intuitive sign of the zodiac, knows that it's something else. Now, you may be tempted to look the other way, to lie to yourself, but you know that that person is running you some BS, a line of BS, and it's making you, you know, have insomnia, or, you know, the equivalent of that anxiety, but for some reason you don't feel like you can disengage from it. But with that past position of the Ace of Pentacles, it sounds like something new and positive is coming in and fruitful. And so the question is, if that is the case, and this is a general reading, so some of these cards may not even relate to what you're dealing with, you may not understand them. But if you do feel like this is describing your life, it's interesting that things can be going well and people choose to focus on the things that are just falling apart. So whatever happens, you're going to have to be willing to you know, look at the things that are going well in order to move forward. And if you are like, if this is a person that you're married to, then yes, I mean, it's going to be a little sticky because you can't just necessarily walk away. Sometimes you can, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult. But you know, maybe there is something that is beginning for you that is a new positive road. And it's like, one of the things too about this card is that it's got a door, so it's like a portal that you walk through to a whole new life, because it is an ace. And some people, you know, they have this out, they have this, you know, way out, and they still refuse to kind of go into that new phase. And they have that right. You know, we have free will. We may not have 100% free will. There may be things beyond our control that happen, but that doesn't mean we have zero free will. And sometimes we can do things and we choose not to, and that's our choice. And so if that is what you choose to do, then you have to accept the consequences of being in a constant state of anxiety because you're dealing with somebody that you don't trust. Now, what's interesting is that what comes in is the Sun card. Very positive for love, very positive for anything, because it is the yes card. So it's like an affirmation of anything, that kind of like the wish card, the Nine of Cups. So it can be, and you know, it is connected to romance because the Sun rules the 5th house of romance. So it can also be children. But in this reading, it could be that there is somebody, this could specifically be a Leo individual that you're interested in, or that just that helps you out. But it can just mean any sign that you're in love with. So maybe there is an earth sign individual that you decide to, you know, spend more time with, and that person lifts your spirits and makes you see the positive side of life. What crosses you, it's funny, it's the Star card, and this is connected to Aquarius, so that could be one of the air signs that I was talking about. But the other thing too is losing hope, you know, not having hope, because for the Sun card, I think to really be, relevant in this time frame, you would have to believe that it's even possible. You may be dealing with a very stressful situation regarding a relationship. And, sometimes that happens. But always realize that you have this, the star card is about your angels, your spirit guides, anybody who is kind of helping you behind the scenes to master some of these challenges and to kind of lead you when you feel like you don't know which way to turn. Don't ever turn your back on that because you feel so anxious about something. And with the Sun card, that there is, you're flanked, that anxiety is flanked by the Ace of Pentacles and the Sun card, two immensely positive cards. So it's kind of like this mixed situation. I think you're your own worst enemy, really, Pisces. And that's probably true of all of us, but I think Pisces especially, because sometimes you guys kind of can veer into self-pity and pessimism. And part of that pessimism is a belief in your victimhood or a sense of disempowerment. And some of this can definitely, be traced back to childhood. If you had a difficult childhood and you really, children really feel powerless when there's, for instance, when there's abuse or anything like that, because they can't just say, okay, I'm done with you guys. You know what I mean? So that's where that learned helplessness can develop, when you're a child, and it can carry through. And unless you're willing to actively question and challenge those things, you may spend the rest of your life just trying to get other people to feel sorry for you. And maybe they will because they know that you're a good person. But it's not really what you want. You don't want to be pitied. You want to be respected. And you want to feel self-empowerment. And speaking of self-empowerment, the advice is the Magician, which is a card of self-empowerment. Taking what you have. Doing... what's that saying? Taking what you have, where you are. How come I can't say that? I'm sure you know what I'm trying to say. Starting where you are, with what you have, and oh my God. But it's about being resourceful. And, you start with what you have. You don't say, I'm not going to start a business until I have $10,000 to spend on advertising. You just start it with nothing. And you can, go online and start a YouTube channel or start an Etsy shop or something like that. You just, you try to, you don't have to wait to do something. Take what you have, where you are, and there's a third one. Do what you can with what you have, where you are. Okay, something like that. And it's about being proactive and doing what you can with what you have. And in terms of relationships, if you do not have a positive relationship at the moment, then you do whatever practical things or positive things you can, dealing with your current situation. If you are if you feel trapped in a relationship with somebody who you don't trust, who you think is cheating on you, the first thing you can do is you can say, how can I live on my own? If you feel like you're financially dependent. So you start with those things. Is there anything I can do? If you're not working, where can I work? Can I get resources? Is there somewhere I could live and I could trade my physical, work for some kind of room and board, anything. You start where you are. But if you have somebody in your life, now that Ace of Pentacles, it could be a new job. Maybe that new job is something that's coming in and that will free you from this situation because maybe you're financially dependent on the other person, and that's the thing that is keeping you from leaving. And maybe that will be your the bridge to a new life. So just realize that you have, you're flanked by positive energy with the Sun card and the Ace of Pentacles and the Magician card. And the only thing that's holding you back is that feeling of there not being hope, feeling like seeing the glass half empty. And that's where you come in, Pisces. That's where you have to do all the work. Go to YouTube, start, listening to Law of Attraction and Love, Law of Attraction and Money, anything that lifts your spirits, anything. There are all kinds of things. It doesn't even have to be just Law of Attraction, but anything, just type in, positive thinking, and try to elevate your consciousness so that you can be in a more empowered state. If you feel disempowered, if you feel anxious, there's guided meditations, anything that you can do. Because once you, take responsibility for it and you take action steps, even at the smallest level, they will add up eventually if you're doing it consistently. And you can have the life of your dreams, which is represented by the Sun card. So yeah, you have a lot of good things here to work with, Pisces. So if you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have a great January. Bye.